Grimmjow and Ulquiorra, to my knowledge, are the most loved as spotted characters in Bleach, and for good reason. Personally, the way that I look at it, Ulquiorra and Grimmjow both had the most conflict with Ichiko, the main character, more than any other Espada. Obviously, if any villain interacts with the main character, they're going to get more love than, well, the others. And what's really unique about Grimmjow and Ulquiorra are their personalities. Now then, when it comes to Bleach, Kubo drives his characters all in personality. Not all of them have a complex life or a deep and dark backstory. Personally, I prefer character writing with more depth, but there's nothing wrong with Kubo just giving personality only to his characters. And Kubo does an amazing job with Grimmjow and Ulquiorra. Now, when it comes to Ulquiorra first, I personally relate to Ulquiorra more than any other character in Bleach, and he is honestly the only character I relate to in Bleach. You see, Ulquiorra is emotionless. He's not supposed to feel anything, he can't feel anything, and sometimes it doesn't seem like he wants to. But when he meets Orihime, he becomes more interested in humans. Why do they act the way that they act? What is hope? What is friendship? What is this care? What is this trust? What is it? Orihime, if I tore your skull open, will I see the heart there? Or if I rip open your chest, will the heart be there? And it's interesting because, talking about myself here, I'm also interested in why human beings do the things that we do, including myself, because I'm human. Why do we feel the way that we feel? Why do we trust in other people? Why do we care so much about other things in general? But that's part of being human. It's part of love and heart. It's something that Ulquiorra wanted to know more about. And Orihime talks about how she's not afraid of him because she believes her friends are coming to save her because they have this bond. And obviously, you don't have to surround this topic with the shonen friendship thing, but if you look at it at a completely different angle, it's more depth and more detailed about this being who's emotionless, and he wants to understand what are feelings, what is care, what is hope. And just look at it from that aspect, that people like this do exist. Some people can't comprehend why do we feel the way that we feel and why do we do the things that we do. People like that do exist. And the concept of Ulquiorra to exist, to not exist, like he's there, we can see him, but his presence, the fact that he's emotionless and he barely has a personality, he basically is dead. He doesn't feel anything. And that is also a good reason why Aizen trusted Ulquiorra the most with his missions, because he can get the job done without any hesitation to backfire on him. And we've seen proof that he's a cold killer. The way that he killed Ichiko in that chest by the moon, oh my lord, that was a beautiful angle. And also, Ulquiorra calls people trash, and I look at human beings like trash too. Sometimes I call people trash all the time because I don't agree with them as people or I don't agree with their actions. Obviously, Ulquiorra calls people trash because of their appearance of power, but for my standards, I just call people trash sometimes in general, and I can relate to Ulquiorra definitely on that as well. At the end of the day, Ulquiorra is just a character that I personally relate to, and I connect the most with out of any other character in Bleach. Now let's look at the character writing between Ichiko and Ulquiorra. Ichiko says in Ulquiorra's face, "I knew since the very beginning you were the stronger opponent, and I don't care. I'm not fighting you because I want to. No, I'm fighting you because I have to. And I will save Orihime." And this also involves with Ulquiorra's character because he doesn't understand Ichiko's perspective. Like I said, Ulquiorra can't feel emotion, so he can't really understand why Ichiko is pushing so far to fight a pointless battle. Ulquiorra even says to him, "Why would you even challenge an opponent you will never be able to defeat? I do not understand this. I can't comprehend this." And it's because, obviously, realistically speaking, when you see someone that is much greater and stronger than you, it becomes pointless. And it doesn't matter how many times you try. Sometimes you can't beat the superior person. And this is what Ichiko is trying to do, is that I don't care that I'm weak. I believe that I'm going to find that way. But Ulquiorra is not lying. Like, he's way too powerful. He's way too strong. And Ichiko is fighting a pointless battle. And after a while, Ulquiorra just gave up on him and killed Ichiko. He was done with him. And it's really amazing because he's also pushing Ulquiorra's ideology about why is it worth fighting for something that is hopeless, because most people eventually do give up. And obviously, since this is a shonen, the main character has to prove the villain wrong, but this formula works perfectly well when it comes to Ulquiorra, challenging someone who doesn't understand common sense versus someone who's challenging something that he believes in that is common sense, because he understands the common sense narrative about he can't quit. He can't just come this far and just quit on everyone. You know, he has something to prove. And Ulquiorra just does not understand. The reason why Ulquiorra transformed twice, not because he needed to, was because he tried to push Ichiko further and further, that you're just going to lose. This is despair. It's meaningless. And he threw Ichiko's body around Wakamundo like it was nothing. Like he was just tossing him like a toy. Ichiko kept getting his body wrecked. And Ulquiorra did not care. He tried to fight for his purpose. And it was really great writing when it comes to this perspective on both characters, the main character and the villain. And another thing that I love about Ulquiorra is his dialogue to Orihime. If I do not see it, it does not exist. If I do not see this heart, if my eyes cannot reflect it or see it in general, it does not exist. It is not there. And that's why he was testing Orihime to find this heart. He wants to know what it is. And if anything does not reflect in his eyes, it's not there at all. And it's really interesting of just how he words his dialogue around Ichiko and Orihime. But yeah, man, Ulquiorra is just my favorite written character in Bleach. I love his character writing. The only character I respect the most when it comes to Ulquiorra. Now then, let's move on to Grimmjow. Grimmjow used to be my favorite character a long time ago because of his character design. Grimmjow's whole design is blue. His sword is blue, his eyes are blue, his hair is blue, he has blue makeup on his eyes. Everything on Grimmjow is blue, and I am still a fan of the color blue, but that's because I was childhood biased towards him because of his character design. As I got older, I paid attention to character writing, and I would have to say Ulquiorra is indeed the superior character, but that's from my perspective, not yours. I understand why a lot of people love Grimmjow the most, and we're going to get into that right now. Grimmjow's rebellious personality is fucking awesome. This man does whatever he wants. When he wants something, he will get it. And his introduction when he came down and met Rukia and Ichiko for the first time, and Grimmjow one-shot Rukia into the stomach, then threw Ichiko around Karakura town and made him look like a bitch, and tossed him, punched him many times in the face, and he would not stop. He toyed with Ichiko left and right in this town at night, and it was impressive. Like, this man gives no shits, and he even rebelled against Aizen before, and he paid the price for that. But that just goes to show you that he's not afraid to be for who he is. If something is on Grimmjow's mind, he will say it, and if he has something he needs to point out, he will state that opinion. And Grimmjow loves fighting with Ichiko, and Ichiko loves fighting with Grimmjow. And Grimmjow has tried to push Ichiko many times, and you have to admit it, man. You love fighting me. It's been like that for thousands of years between Hollows and Soul Reapers. We fight to the death. It's instinct, Ichiko. You have to give into it. And Ichiko believes he's only here to bring back Orihime, but Grimmjow was like, no man, you came here to fight me because you like the fight. I love their rivalry, that they both won't admit it, but they clearly respect each other. They are rivals perfectly when it comes to their battles over and over again. They have an interest of keeping up with each other every now and then. And in my honest opinion, Grimmjow is not an evil person. He's not an evil character. He doesn't have an evil mind. This guy is just rebellious. He says what's on his mind. He does whatever he wants. And I will admit, Grimmjow's dialogue sometimes is pretty hilarious because just the way that how he words his attitude with his personality, that he clearly doesn't give a shit. And when he says what's on his mind, sometimes it's pretty rude, or it's pretty hilarious. They don't talk about it, but they know that they like fighting each other. And that rivalry keeps them to keep pushing. And I love it. And Grimmjow, like, he's a character that does not come off evil at all. He likes to do what he wants, and that's what makes him rebellious as a great character, because when you're not afraid to be for who you are, even if Grimmjow comes off as a rude asshole, that's also why you love him, because he gives no shits. And his abilities and his second release stage of his resurrection and his power in general, I love Grimmjow's design. I love the long hair and everything. I prefer his original design over his release design, but all in general, man, I love Grimmjow. He's such a fun character to watch on screen. The way that he fights, his dialogue, his rebelliousness, his rivalry with Ichiko. I know Grimmjow comes back in the war, and I can't wait to see that. I hope we get more information about Grimmjow's backstory, because I feel like the way that they showed his backstory flashback during his fight with Ichiko, and it didn't really explain a whole lot of things, and even Ichiko was like, you're saying that you're the king, Grimmjow, but you're the king of what? Hell, even I don't know. So I hope we get more information about his backstory in general, because I feel like his life should be explained a bit more, because it kind of just felt rushed during that fight, but who knows? Another thing that's interesting to add about Grimmjow's character, he left the mark that Ichiko gave to him during their battle in Karakura Town. When Ichiko finally releases the Black Getsuko Tensco, damaged his entire chest, and Grimmjow tells Ichiko, the reason why I left this scar on my chest is to remind myself to not fuck this up ever again. It's a reminder. That's why I left it there. I wanted it to be there to remind myself of my failure. I'm not doing that again to myself. I'm going to win this battle, Ichiko. I love it. It's as a reminder that he respects Ichiko as a person and as his rival. And it's really great writing when it comes to this. Let's go back to Ulquiorra. The way that Ulquiorra died, man, it was depressing. Urahime reached out to Ulquiorra's hand when Ulquiorra says, "Are you afraid of me, little girl? Let me ask you again." And she says, "No, I'm not." She tries to grab Ulquiorra's hand, but sadly, his hand went to dust, then his whole body, his wing, and his head, and he was gone. And it was really, really sad and depressing how Kubo wrote the death of Ulquiorra. He just becomes dust into the wind till there's nothing but nothingness, and it's just heartbreaking. It's just the way that how he wanted to know more about humans. Right when I wanted to know more about you creatures, you humans, well, it's my time to go. And it's just heartbreaking. It's really sad and dark, and I love the way that Ulquiorra went out. I hope he makes a return at some point, even though that making an appearance doesn't always mean bringing the character back to life, because I love how Ulquiorra died. I think everyone can agree the way that Kubo wrote his death was very heartwarming and peaceful and depressing and sad and etc. It had everything, honestly. I love how he went out. It was a perfect end-off. I love Grimmjow and Ulquiorra's characters. They are known to be the best characters in the Espada for this reason. They had the most conflict and the most screen time with Ichiko, the main character, and they had more chemistry with Ichiko because of that reason as well. And they're just fun, very fun characters to watch on screen. Either if you like Grimmjow or Ulquiorra more, I don't care. They are both fucking awesome. Alright, I am Delix. Subscribe if you want, and stay bleach weird, and have a good night. Bye.